Hello everyone, Drew here for Drew Underground, back with another episode of the Waiver, episode 3 here on the channel, where my brother and I get together online to talk about the week that was and the upcoming week of the NFL season. Week 6 is in the books, and after that we will get into previewing week 7 on NFL.com and the schedule at that point. But before that, let me introduce you to who's here with me. It's just my younger brother, Rob. Hey, bro.
Hey there.
How was the week of football for you, dear brother?
Well, I was doing quite well. I kind of had a bad in the third league, the one, the no bench league.
Yeah.
Kind of had a bad turn of events on Monday because my opponent got quite a bit of points for passing completions out of Herbert and the Chargers quarterback. So I ended up losing in that league just barely.
Did I win in true football this past week?
In our league, no, you lost that game.
Okay, that's what I was thinking was going to happen, because I was down by like 80 points going into the Monday night game, and the linebacker for the Broncos did almost nothing, and Eckler carried my team on Monday night, literally, with a touchdown and the yardage that he got, proving that he's my number one running back. But either way.
Yep.
But on that note,
it was good otherwise. I did well in the other two leagues. I squeaked out a win in my third league. Ended up being a 4-point margin.
Why are the scores not here?
Maybe you're looking at the wrong week.
No, it's week 6 I'm looking at on my screen here. And no game has the scores. It all says final, but there's no scores listed for fucking source. Anything.
You're going to have to go to a different source, I guess.
Okay, whatever, fine. I'll look at this fucking one then. But, I was looking at the schedule tab, and the score should be there, and there's nothing. But everything says final, so everyone tied? Anyway. Which would be weird. But anyway, the Thursday night game. Washington Commanders versus the Chicago Bears. Commanders win 12-7.
Joy. That game was so depressing for anyone that's even peripherally a Bears fan, because they had that shit on a silver platter.
I'm pretty sure I didn't watch it. I'm pretty sure I slept through it, because I don't remember watching this game.
I watched it, and God almighty, I would really hate to be a Bears fan watching that game, because it was so pathetic. That was the most pathetic goal line offense I've ever seen in my life. That game was painful to watch the ending of.
Yeah. So, on that note, the first Sunday game listed here, the Niners lost 14-28 to the Falcons. Falcons won a game somehow.
Yeah, that was sort of a surprise. I sort of didn't expect the
I think you and I both had the Niners winning that one, I think.
Yeah, we probably did, because the Falcons offense was kind of like really banged up. And
I feel like you and I probably
helped.
Yeah. I think you and I probably had the Commanders beating the Bears, right?
Well, I probably picked the Bears, if I remember. Because I didn't expect the Bears to be that bad.
I expected both teams to suck, really.
Sure, yeah, no, they both have kind of sucked this year.
However, the next matchup was a toss-up to pick. I don't remember who picked what, but the Patriots beat the Browns. Actually, really spanked them, 38-15.
I think we both agreed that again, if I remember correctly, both of us agreed the Patriots would pull that one off.
Okay, that makes sense. On that one, it's really nice to see that the new guy is really succeeding quite well for the Patriots. Yeah,
yeah,
indeed.
Zapp is doing great.
Some are calling him the next Tom Brady.
Well,
I think that's pushing it at this point, but we'll see.
Dude comes out of nowhere, and he's suddenly the quarterback for the Patriots, and he's doing great. I mean, that's kind of
and the guy ahead of him is a first-round draft pick akin to Drew Bledsoe, so I see the comparisons here with the two situations because they are there, but let's pump the brakes a little bit here. Speaking of pumping brakes, Jets beat the Packers 27-10.
Yeah, that one was sad.
Yeah, and I'm of a mind to lump Rodgers in with Brady and fuck both of them at this point.
Yeah, the problem there is that the Jets offense is actually firing on a lot of cylinders this year, whereas they hadn't been in the past years. Turns out they're actually pretty good without Geno Smith.
And when Wilson is healthy, they're better.
Yeah.
Go figure.
But still, their offense, their running game, their passing game is all working. And now, let's not also forget the Packers are just a mess. That's part of that. But
I'm pretty sure that I had the Packers winning that. Yeah.
They got 27, and the Packers only got 10. It's illustrative of a couple of things, and a lot of those things are Packers' problems.
Yeah. Well,
having a running back getting stuffed all the time, and a wide receiver core where there's only one wide receiver and one tight end, and that's pretty much it.
Well,
now
there's just a tight end because Cobb is seemingly hurt now.
Yeah. So they lost that. Now they have no wide receivers essentially, and only one tight end, and a quarterback that's really struggling in old age at this point.
Yeah. So on that note, I'm pretty sure that I had the Packers winning this, which that didn't happen. So the next matchup, I'm going to say whoever's playing the Packers is going to beat them. It's going to be my next prediction coming up, regardless of who it is.
Yeah. Speaking
of matchups on paper that seemed like they were going to be close, and it turns out it was. Jaguars lose 27-34 to the Indianapolis Colts. And Matt Ryan went fucking off.
We thought this game was going to be close, but we didn't think it was going to be a barn burner, which is borderline what it was.
Yeah, so...
but yeah, Matt Ryan showed up again after disappearing last week again. He seems to show up, then disappear, then show up, then disappear. And it's
well,
really
I'm going to try to claim him on waivers and start him next week, so hopefully he does not disappear next week, because I'm not starting fucking Rodgers. In fact, I'm going to be trying to trade his ass.
But yeah, the Jaguars offense showed back up again after failing miserably in previous weeks.
So that's
really
something.
Strange how it's just like really maybe just illustrating that the Jags defense is very, very banged up, and that there is no Colts defense whatsoever. But there's a lot of Colts offense, which is also banged up, and so it's very strange. Both running backs for the Colts, both their first and second string, were out in this game. So it's like I don't even know what exactly to say about that game, other than like, whoa, something was unexpectedly good for both teams, because that was way more points than I thought it would get scored in that game.
I just remembered my notes on the Packers-Jets game, so let me double back to that quickly before we move to the Vikings-Dolphins game here, because I have two notes, and it's the only game that I took notes on. It's the only one that I remember watching, and then wound up hating my life as a football fan. But my two notes are, quarter one, the Packers offense is depressing. And my second note, Cobb hurt. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only notes from that game that I have. The offense sucks, and the only receiver the Packers really have that was meaningful is now not meaningful now. But on that note, speaking of something meaningful, the Minnesota Vikings beat the already hurting Dolphins 24-16. Meaning the Vikings are 5-1 now. So
yeah, the Vikings defense and offense are both clicking. Thielen was a big player in this one.
Well, it's Adam Thielen, huh?
Yeah, he's
who'd have thunk it?
He's been tampered down quite a bit by corners this year. Basically, the top corner of every team has been going after Thielen and leaving Justin Jefferson wide open on all these plays.
Apparently, except for this one, for the most part.
Justin Jefferson was actually covered as though he were the top guy in this game. So Justin didn't get as much, and Thielen got all the glory.
So who did we have in the Colts Jaguars game? I feel like I picked the Colts, right?
Yeah, I think both of us agreed the Colts would pull it off, but we thought it would be less scoring.
Then the Vikings Dolphins, I don't remember. I feel like it was the Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings. We had said the Vikings were sort of on the tear, so it would have been hard to foresee them not winning that game.
I'm pretty sure I got the next matchup wrong. Bengals beat the Saints 30-26, so another close one.
Yeah, that one was going to be all about the down-to-the-wire sort of. Didn't expect as much points, though, because the Bengals had been struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
And the Saints were doing well, but they didn't. This came down to the last minute or two of the game, so.
Yeah, and then the next one, Ravens lose 24-20 to the New York Giants. Giants win again at 5-1.
That win for the Giants came on pretty much the final play when Barkley ran for a touchdown. So, I mean, that was down to the wire, too.
And then speaking earlier, like we did off camera, Ravens, Giants, I feel like we had the Ravens winning that one.
Yeah, we probably both did have the Ravens winning that one. Sort of expected more out of the Ravens offense. They started really hot, but they've been losing games now, and it's getting to be a bit much.
And then speaking of fuck Brady, we had the Bucs, I think, winning this one in spite of that. And
No. The Bucs lost to the Steelers.
Yeah.
So we expected the Bucs to win because the Steelers came into a really terrible offense.
That's what I was talking about. We slated the Bucs to win, and they lost by 2 points, 20-18, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right.
Yeah, Tom had a really good final drive of the game, but they couldn't quite get the 2 points. So.
Hey, Phil's here in the chat. Hey, Phil TMNT. How's it going, brother? Sorry I didn't catch your message sooner. I was looking at another tab, which is the NFL schedule at this point, brother. But thank you for being here, Phil. I appreciate you very much. Popping in to say hi as my brother and I are talking about NFL football the week that just was, and we'll be getting into next week's matchups and going over what we think might happen there at that point. But as it is, speaking of ketchup on pizza type of matchup, since Phil's in the chat, the LA Rams beat the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, we both expected the Rams to win this one because the Panthers have been struggling on offense. And they've now traded Robbie Anderson to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So they're trading away their weapons even while they're losing games on offense.
Quite.
So the Panthers are just trying to look to the future at this point, and it's only week 6. Week 7 now.
So yeah, and I'm fairly certain we had the Rams winning that one anyway.
Sure, yeah. It would have been hard to foresee the Panthers winning over the Rams.
Speaking of matchups that I think we predicted right as well, Cardinals lose to the Seahawks 19-9.
Yeah. It was the Cardinals.
That's a very high baseball score.
I remember saying that. Yeah, as much as I hate saying it, I expected the Cardinals to lose.
Yeah,
they've been struggling.
Because that's your hometown team, is the Cardinals.
And they lost Brown on in that game there.
So joy!
There goes that wide receiver, and but they're going to get DeAndre Hopkins back in week 7. So, and they got Robbie Anderson from the Panthers.
Which week 7 is the one coming up that we'll be looking at in just a few minutes here. Mm-hmm. Once we get through these. So next up,
the Cardinals got to turn it around. Otherwise, their season's already going to be over.
Well, they're 2-4 now. So, and the Seahawks are 3-3.
Looking bad.
However, another team that's 5-1 now. The Bills getting their revenge back from the playoffs over the Chiefs, 24-20. So, I feel like we had the Chiefs winning that one, right?
Yeah, we called this the game of the week. I think we were sort of split on it.
Yeah, I think one of us had Bills and the other had the Chiefs. I don't remember who had what, though. Because we don't write any of it down. However...
But it was a close game.
However, the game that I was scheduled to stream on my channel watching, but I was too tired and I slept through it, so I didn't even watch this game. Or no, I did watch most of the game, but I fell asleep like when it was coming close to an end or whatever, kind of like the Monday night game. So I watched some of it, but I fell asleep by the end of it, so I didn't know what happened by the end of it. But the Eagles beat the Cowboys 26-17, which I believe we both had the Eagles winning, right?
Yes, mainly because I had pointed out that the Eagles' defense was the best in the league, and they are still the best in the league.
And the Eagles are still the only undefeated team at 6-0. So,
but these are two of the best defenses in the league that faced each other, and it showed because you had defenses putting up points in that game.
Yeah, so 26-17. So, speaking of...
And, we both have the Eagles, I think.
Speaking of games that are as... Speaking of a team that's as depressing as the Green Bay Packers at this point, the Denver Broncos lose to the LA Chargers 19-16 in overtime.
Yeah, that was a lame game. That was one of the worst Monday night games of the year.
It seems to me the 2022 season for primetime games is nothing but lame game after lame game after lame game after lame game at this point.
Who's the dumbass that didn't put the Bills Chiefs at prime time? That's the idiot.
Well, if we look at based on scores, the Bengals Saints would have been a good primetime game this week.
No, I know, but the Chiefs are like leading the league, you know.
The Colts Jaguars would have been good.
And they were leading the league last year. So, I mean, like, when you make the schedule and you think about what game should be in prime time, and you think, what games might
but the one that leaps out the most, you are right, it would be Bills and Chiefs, though, based on the matchup.
But they didn't put that one in prime time.
Or the Cowboys and Eagles in prime time, even. Which,
that one would have been fine, too.
But it kind of was, because that was the Sunday night game, so it was in prime time.
Sure, there's less to complain there than the Chiefs-Bills game.
And then the 4 teams that were on bye week were the Lions, Titans, Raiders, and Texans. Oh my. So basically every team except for the Titans that suck the most this year was on bye week this week.
quite a bit.
Because the Lions are 1-4, the Raiders are 1-4, and your favorite team, the Houston Texans, are 1-3-1. And then
that tie there.
And then the Titans are 3-2. So they're at the top of the heap of the bye week teams. So speaking of which, so week 6 sucked, right?
Yeah.
For the most part.
For the most part, it was. There were plenty of moments that were hard to watch because of how teams just failed. So, up first in prime time, Thursday night, a matchup which I don't think should be in prime time. On Prime Video, i.e. also going to be streaming on Twitch, Saints go to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Oh, joy. Yeah, the Cardinals' offense. I mean, unless we're going to focus on Hopkins and he's going to make it different, it's all going to be down to whether Hopkins changes the chemistry with the Cardinals.
So suffice to say, if the Saints are any indication from this past week, in prime time, all we're going to be watching is a bunch of Saints go marching in Arizona and slaughtering a bunch of Cardinals.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have to say that considering the fact that the composition of the team is going to be different in Week 7 for the Cardinals than it was in Week 6, I mean, you're literally getting your biggest weapon in the entire roster back for this game. So unless something strange happens, the Cardinals should look better in this game than they have.
I hope so, but based on what I've seen so far, I'm picking the Saints to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's really because
Just
the
the
Saints
same.
have had better cohesion with the offense running the ball more
Yeah.
and getting to, their usual wide receiver core more. Their offense has finally done something, whereas in the early part of the year, they weren't doing anything on offense. Now, the Cardinals have really struggled on offense also. I think this is their turning point right now for their offense. I think the Cardinals are now going to start putting up points.
It needs to be. And I hope I'm wrong with my prediction of the Saints winning. I really do. Because I'm going to be in Arizona by next year, so they're going to be my home team too come next year. So they're going to be my team along with you. So
on this one, I'm going to have to side with the Cardinals just because I think the impact of DeAndre Hopkins is going to be quite large.
That's a fair point. The first listed Sunday game, Browns go to Baltimore to play the Ravens. I got the Ravens in this one in spite of this past week.
The Browns always, with Cooper, Amari Cooper, they just seem to find a way to suck. Cooper missed like 8 of his passes last week, and it's just like, dude, they targeted you like Randy Moss levels of targeting, and you still couldn't catch anything. It's like, who's to blame here? Is it the quarterback? Is it the wide receiver? I mean, somebody's to blame here, and you guys are missing opportunities to win. Just missing passes.
Yeah.
And if they keep that up, they keep missing passes, then Ravens are going to trample them.
Then after that, we got the Buccaneers going to Carolina to play the Panthers.
So
I got the Buccaneers.
If I may officially say so, I also think the Ravens will win that game against the Browns.
In the next matchup, I got the Buccaneers over the Panthers in Carolina.
Sure,
the Panthers are 1-5.
Like waving the white flag already this year, so I don't.
Buccaneers
should have an easy time.
Based on this past week, I don't know what to think about this next matchup. So I'm going to let you do your prediction first, although I think you said you got the Bucs over the Panthers too, right?
Yeah, the Bucs over the Panthers is pretty simple.
But this next matchup, the Falcons go to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. I'm going to let you go first with your prediction because I don't know who the fuck to pick based on what they did this past week.
Yeah, they seem to have a strange sort of chemistry going on their offense. And their defense showed up too. So it was really strange.
Are you talking about the Bengals and the Falcons or both?
I'm talking about the Falcons' offense and defense. In previous weeks, the Falcons disappeared on offense, but their defense was okay. Okay? But in this last game, both sides really showed up. Both sides of the ball showed up.
Yeah.
And so I think this could be the barn burner game of the week because both of the teams have working offenses right now.
But based on
because Jeff Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. I keep calling him Jeff. Joe Burrow has a functioning offense that he's doing quite well in now.
Jeff Burrow is his less successful brother. He's the water boy.
Yeah. Joe Burrow. I have to remember the quarterbacks' names are Joe, not Jeff. There's no Jeffs. There's only Joes.
Think Joe Cool. Joe.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He's the Joe Cool of the Bengals.
But anyway, I think it's going to be barn burner, and I think the Bengals are going to pull it off.
Yeah, I was thinking about going with the Bengals too, based on the fact that there's a chance the Falcons are just going to be the Falcons again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, a one-sided matchup, I got the Cowboys winning at home over the Lions next.
Yeah, with the way the Lions are just a complete mess on both sides. They're putting up zeros in games. So I mean, I have no faith in the Lions right now. And the Cowboys defense is great. They're like top, 5 in the league in defense. So they're gonna kick the shit out of the Lions as far as I'm concerned.
And then up next, we got the Giants going to Jacksonville to play Jaguars. I got the Giants in this one.
Yeah, the Giants' offense did quite well in the last game, and I think they're doing better on offense, and it's making up for the lack of defense. But the Jaguars are always so here and there. I mean, they take advantage of bad defenses. So this one could be a high-scoring game also. But because the Jaguars are either boom or bust, it seems. Either they score 9 points or they score 30. There's nothing in between.
And boom or bust is what I would say for the Colts, and they're up next. They go to Nashville to play the Titans.
But yeah, I think that between the Jaguars and Giants, bro, yeah. I think that I'd have to go with the Giants because they have a more complete team right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. It might be another barn burner.
On that note,
but anyway,
the Colts go to Nashville play the Titans.
Okay. Yeah. And so the Titans come back from bye. They're all fresh, and they've been.
And the Colts come off a victory in which Matt Ryan played like old Matt Ryan.
Sure. Yeah, he played like Matty Ice.
There's a chance this is another barn burner, so I'm going to go with the Colts because I'm wearing the fucking gear because it would look weird picking the Titans over the Colts with what I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, it's just I think that the Titans will have an edge, and the reason I say that is because of this yo-yo thing that Matt's doing, and the fact that the Titans have been kind of firing on all cylinders, especially in the run game.
Yeah.
So I think I'd go with the Titans, but it's going to be a close game, I figure.
I can agree with that. Things that ought to be close games, but low fucking scoring. The Packers go to Washington to play the Commies.
Sure, these are the two lowest scoring offenses in the league, bar none.
I got the Commies in this one. I got the Commies in this one because fuck the Packers at this point.
Yeah,
I'm sick and tired of the Packers bullshit and rooting for them just to fuck everything up.
If this game isn't pathetic and sad to watch, then I don't know what game would be.
Yeah.
Maybe both of their non-existent defenses will, I don't know, some chemical reaction will happen and they'll score a bunch of points. But I don't think that the Washington I call them Redskins, but Commanders.
I'm just calling them Commies at this point because they represent Washington.
The Commies. I don't know who's going to win this game, and I just know it's probably going to be pretty pathetic. I guess I have to go with the Commanders also, just because the Packers have been finding ways to lose, even in games they shouldn't be losing in.
Yeah, which is pretty much all of them, all three of them so far. Speaking of games they shouldn't be losing, the Jets go to Denver to play to beat the Broncos. Obviously, that means that I'm picking the Jets over the Broncos in Denver.
Yeah, the Broncos offense can't do jack shit, and the Jets have been doing really
Although last night it seemed like Wilson was playing at times like Russell Wilson from Seattle during that game at various points with stuff that we know that he can do, but it didn't fucking matter.
It's sad to see that Russell's struggling so badly as a Bronco after doing so well as a Seahawk. But there's just no hope on this one. I really doubt that the Jets are going to lose to that team. They're just not together at all.
Speaking of no hope, my prediction for this next matchup is a tie. Because the Texans go to Las Vegas to play the Raiders.
Well, I think that the Raiders have the edge here. If you ask me, I would go with the Raiders. Unfortunately, as much as I don't want to.
I'm still going to predict a tie.
And the reason I'm going to go with the Raiders is a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jacobs has been on a tear lately. Now, Carr seems to struggle a bit, and their wide receiver core is kind of crappy. But their running backs are making up for it. And the Texans have had some running back flashes going on in the last few weeks, but I just don't see the Texans having a strong enough offense to overtake the Raiders' offense.
That's fair.
And neither team has much of a defense to speak of.
However,
the Texans' defense used to be better.
However, here's a game that I think should be in prime time at this point up next. The Seahawks go to LA to play the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, with Geno Smith having an immense amount of success as the Seahawk.
And the Chargers having one of the more decent offenses at times.
Sure, with Eckler being the lead running back in the league, basically.
The Eckler anchor.
Yeah, but you do have Cooper Kupp, who's again leading the league in wide receivers.
You do know that he plays for the Rams, right? Not the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, sorry, not Kupp. What's that other one? I know Eckler's a Charger, and then you have another receiver there. It's not Kupp. It's what's his freaking name?
I don't remember.
Well, anyway, never mind that. But the Chargers' offense has been doing relatively well until last week, I guess.
You heard it here first, folks. Apparently, my brother's predicting that Cooper Kupp's going to get traded to the Chargers. Apparently,
no, he's not.
I had to make the joke because you set it up too perfectly. That fruit was buried underground.
Yeah, it's low hanging as all get out. I know.
Yeah,
but
that fruit was hanging so low that the devil in hell was like, "What the hell is this doing down here?" Anyway,
I have to imagine though that the Seahawks offense will triumph here, especially with the Chargers' recent struggles.
Okay.
The Seahawks have been doing well.
That's fair.
And their defense is no slouch either. Their defense is top 5.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Herbert and the banged-up offense, it's really just Herbert and Eckler versus the Seahawks, both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Seahawks
defense isn't
too.
Doing anything. Yeah, the Seahawks is the easy pick here, sort of, for me, too. So.
However, another game that on paper should be a primetime game, the Kansas City Chiefs go to Santa Clara to play the 49ers.
Yeah, the 49ers have been struggling. And the Chiefs have, besides,
this past week,
losing games.
Yeah, I'm going with
that was against the frickin' Bills.
Yeah, and I'm picking the Chiefs in this one, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see an upset of the Niners over the Chiefs in Santa Clara either.
Yeah, I would still side with the Chiefs. It looks like the Chiefs on paper have what it takes to pull this one.
And if Tua is really coming back this week, then in our next matchup, I got the Dolphins winning at home against the Steelers.
Yeah, if Tua Tagovailoa is back,
and that's the Sunday night game, and I have not decided if I'm going to stream my reaction to watching that game or not yet, folks. But I'll decide that probably on Saturday, and if I do decide to do it, then I'll schedule it at that point.
If Tua stays in the game and doesn't get hurt again, okay, and he plays, the Dolphins have a much better chance because he clicked very well with Chase Edmonds. He clicked very well with what's his face in the wide receiver core. I forgot his name.
Sorry, I was looking at what the Monday night game is.
Yeah. But yeah, with Tua involved, the Dolphins fare much better. So if he's there, the chances they'll beat the Steelers is very high.
Speaking of chances to win very high on Monday night, the Patriots are at home against the Bears. And obviously, I'm picking the Patriots. I'm picking my birth team. So, good night, everybody. Anyway. Bro?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add about Patriots, Bears?
The Patriots are going to slaughter the Bears.
Yeah. So, on that note, anything that we want to add about fantasy football to close this out since we went through the upcoming schedule?
No, the last week was painful, and I don't really feel like saying anything else about it.
Let's just look at what the primetime games are for Week 8 coming up and laugh at those. Considering the NFL has a history so far this year of putting the shittiest games on in prime time. So Week 8's Thursday night game is the Ravens going to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and then the Sunday night game is going to be the Packers-Bills. That's going to be murder.
Yeah, at this point. And then the Monday night game is the Bills and the Browns.
Bengals-Browns.
Bengals-Browns, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which would be a game full of screw-ups, perhaps.
Week 9, because I'm curious, because I just want to kill a couple things. How long have we been live for? Only about 36 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, we should probably call it.
So let's fill some dead time.
Mom just stopped by, so I should probably.
Let's just wrap it up quickly with the prime time for Week 9. We got Eagles, Texans. That's a good decision. The worst team in the league versus the best right now. That's a good decision for Thursday night on Prime Video.
Yeah, the Texans are going to get murdered.
This actually is a good matchup for Sunday night for Week 9. Yeah, for Week 9, we got the Titans going to Kansas City. So that actually would be, I think, a decent Thursday night or Sunday night game. And then Thursday night is the Ravens versus the Saints.
You mean Monday night would be Ravens?
Monday night, yeah. What did I say?
Yeah, and then you said Thursday.
Thursday, Monday.
What's the difference? But yeah, Ravens Saints is
yeah.
That'll be an interesting game. Two technically high powered offenses.
Yeah.
Right now. With no defenses.
Yeah, pretty much. So on that note, here's to hoping that Matt Ryan is Matty Ice for a second straight week for me, as far as I'm concerned, as long as the waiver clears in fantasy. Because fuck Aaron Rodgers at this point.
Yeah.
And on that note, everyone, if I don't see you on Sunday night for the God Help Us Steelers-Dolphins game, we'll see you next Tuesday night, hopefully, for Week 3, or Episode 3, rather, of this thing that we call the Waiver Wire here on YouTube.com, here on the YouTube channel of Drew.Underground. On that note, we will see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow on Twitch for some. A game came out today. What the hell is it called? A Plague's Tale Innocence. So I'll be playing that tomorrow on Twitch for you guys. On that note, anything else you want to add before we end the stream, bro?
Nope. I've said everything I need to.
Have a good night, everyone. Later.
Yep. Have a good night, guys.